20. The best way to form a legacy retirement fund for our own retirement, leveraging and transfer of the real estate to our children and the next generation, and it's pride of our ownership and security. Right? So we jump. So everybody knows that we buy starter homes, then we buy a dream home, and then during retirement we just downsize it so that we have a nest egg at the end, right? So there is a part 2 to it, which is the loan. We start with one loan amount, we start paying principal, and there is appreciation of the property, and even that part we downsize it so that it becomes a nest egg. Yes? Yes. So, so what we do is we blend in real estate, we blend in the mortgage, also your retirement funds, how to invest retirement funds into real estate, because a lot of people invest in stocks, which is very volatile, and we transfer it into real estate. There are specific ways of doing it, and take a tax shelter, and then we blend the whole components together to form this build up the wealth.
So, as you said, you can invest from your real estate funds, the IRA, basically. How would you do that?
Okay, so I will just get to that in 2 minutes, and then we'll have questions. So, see, everybody, whenever you go and ask somebody, they say, oh yeah, I want to buy a house and it's going to be $1 million. But it is not necessary that they qualify for $1 million. They may be qualifying for much more than $1 million. They don't buy to the optimum size. They don't blend like what the market dictates. Like if they are buying in Mission, and if they have a budget of $1 million, that doesn't work, correct? So what we do is we expand their vision. By looking at their loan numbers, by looking at their salaries, what kind of leveraging they have, we expand their visions. So last year we had a client, they ran to us and they said, oh, Pallavi, in October we want to buy a $1.9 million house in Mission. And then when we did analysis, we blended their income, what funds they had, and we pulled everything together, their budget increased to $3.5 million. So what is our target today is to make sure that your clients are buying the optimum level of the house, optimum level of the loans, with their salary component and all the residual they have. Now if they buy a bigger house, guess what? Your commission increases. If they buy more than one property, again your commission increases. So right now we are in the market conditions where the inventory is diminishing. We have too many realtors and very few people, very less inventory. So how we can survive in this kind of market conditions? Okay, so one of the ways that is very popular in the peninsula is having a team. Now when you have a team, they have restrictions, like you can't be the listing agent, you are just the buyer's agent, and the main guy gets all the cream of the cake. So what I'm trying to do is, with your same existing agent clients, we are expanding their loans, their real estate, and their IRA funds, whatever we can get in, so that we can have more commissions for you and a better bottom line. Another thing that happens is, when you do something like that, your clients become your fans, and we have also been able to make it work better than that. Like instead of sending an email from a title company or a website every few months, oh, remember us. Instead of that, what we have been able to do is every quarter, if they invest in commercial properties that we have, every quarter they get a check. Guess what? You become the wow factor. So they are remembering you every time they get a check. Hey, this is what it is. This is Pallavi. So we are not just talking. We are giving them a check every quarter. that we are doing in our portfolio. And we also focus on something which is called rate of return. The rate of return is so important that how much are you leveraging and what will be your rate of return at the end of the phase, right? So some people just pay down the property, they think it's the best thing to do, and they have too much money in that property, they cannot withdraw, it's just lying there because if you withdraw, again the loans changes, the interest rate changes, everything like that. Instead, we kind of leverage it out with the maximum rate of return. So that's the most important part, and that kind of calculates how much time will it take to grow the money. So what we do is we do an architecture for your clients. We do what is their current home valued at, what is their current loans valued at, what is their net worth, which is very important. So we had a client, their salary levels were like $1 million, and they had 800,000 in stocks and funds, and they were going to buy 1.9, right? So instead we posted them to 3.5. Also, we made them liquidate in stocks because everything was upside down. See, your 401k, everything is in stocks of your current company. And then you have a mutual fund or something like that, which is 800,000 again back in stocks. And stocks are all virtual, you can't feel and touch. So instead, we made them liquidate their whole portfolio of 800,000. Now they just have their 401k in stocks. And we made them invest not only in their own house, but also to go into cash flowing property, which is positive cash flow, and it's kind of raining on the house. So I'll just explain to you what we mean. So first, what we do with each and every client is we examine all their components. We prepare the whole blueprint. It might take 1 year, 2 years, or 4 years to complete, depending on what their momentum is, because we can see it very clearly. Apparently, it takes time for them to understand everything and feel comfortable at different stages, and then it just blows up. So what we do is, again, we do stacking up. So we stack up their real estate, we stack up their loans, their IRA funds. It's a very good, it's a very short time to explain all this, but stacking up all the components which results into building of the brand. So our clients who got again 3.5 million are positioned right now to almost make 800,000 per year. This is their second year of their completion, but every year, because they followed the whole system on their $1 million of investment, they are going to make 800,000 every year. So that's huge. That's very huge. Because when you are borrowing money at 4% and you are leveraging at 20%, basically 100,000 is covering 500,000 of debt. Correct? So that's why we stack your salary, your real estate, loans, and we stack it up, and then we put a cash flow income properties on the top, which kind of covers your baseline. So in case you lose your job or anything like that, you have some resource to go back to. Or it can translate into education funds for your children. And if we don't use it at that time, it is doubling on one side or multiplying, and then for your retirement, because see, Social Security is only going to be 25% of the money you need for retirement when you retire. So most of the people right now are doing foreign living. They are moving with children. They are selling their house, moving into apartments. Those are the things that are happening. And in fact, when I go for my coaching classes, I'm just blown away because people suited and booted, working in corporate jobs who have retired, ran out of money, 401k, IRA, are coming back because they don't know what to do except insurance and real estate. They think that's what they can do. So it's just a mind-blowing event when those things are happening. So if you want to live independently, you want to live with your children who live in the Bay Area, we need to have an accelerated level of making money. Otherwise, those things will not take place. Also, there are IRA rules, which means that after the age of 70, 10% you have to liquidate. Now, if you start liquidating, that 10% goes away in 10 years, correct? So when you are 80, what's happening? So unless you plan everything properly when you are earning and when you and your wife or the spouse is earning, this is the time to do it properly. And that way we don't ruin the capital, but we are just playing with the cash flow for all these expenses and we have it taken out. So that is what we do, long-term plan. It's very sophisticated investing. It's again, all these things, whenever you kind of tell the people appreciate it because you have told them all this plan. And the clients become fans of it. And they have repeated transactions with you. In fact, I have a person right here. In almost like about say 2 to 3 years, we must have done 11 transactions to get into that level. And that improves our bottom line. It's a win-win situation we work with. We don't work with that WIIFM, which is what's in it for me. We work for a win-win situation where if they earn, whether we earn or not, it will automatically feed into our income stream or a goodwill. So when all this momentum is built up and you will realize that when you have those kind of clients, there is a momentum that builds up in the body and it just goes forward. It just goes forward. It's very difficult to put in the words, but if you kind of experience it, it just takes you forward. When all these components are built. So we had a situation. This is one of our featured properties so that we can try to explain what we are talking about in the shortest period of time because 1 hour is not enough. In fact, my clients understand after 3 and 4 years. So we had a situation where a client called me from one of the talk shows. I used to do talk shows on the radio stations. And he just walked in and he said, Pallavi, I just want to sell my Fresno house as a short sale, $100,000 deal. He never knew me before, nothing like that. And from that, what we transpired is after we looked at all his portfolio, and he was kind enough or he kind of understood where we are going with it because of his background and his wife. But we were able to translate this property in 2 years with a HOA of 250, a stamped backyard, no children's school attached, right? He had 2 small children, no school was attached. He didn't figure out that, hey, for each child in your education, I will need 18,000 for primary school, correct? Primary education, you will need 18,000 per year. A 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and as usual, it was paid down. We converted that to 3,800 square feet single-family house in Dublin, living with all professionals like doctors, engineers, and all. Top-rated schools, beautiful swimming pool overlooking all the mountains, and like a doghouse. And not only that, the rate of return was 5%. We went one step further and we bought another 2,000 square feet home, single family home for investment with positive cash flow. Okay, a brand new house from the builder at a distressed price, again positioned for growth. It is unimaginable rate of return that they had because recently a house sold next door to them, and within 3 years just from that one house it is 100% rate of return per year. And we are not even considering the second property where the positive cash flow is in 4 figures per month. 4 figures per month. So if we factor that second property 4 figures per month, and if nothing else, is just doing principal and interest and that rental excess income, if he pays down the property, is paid up in 12 years. So that kind of nest egg is automatically building without doing anything from his side. And it's a brand new house, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath. So in total, 3,700 plus 2,000 we were able to transfer to these 2 houses. And guess what? During the transition, yes, we use money in and out, but at the end of the day, we have not used any extra funds. Just the funds that were in this house, we used in 2 houses. So also what we did was we optimized the tax shelters. So they were paying heavy, everybody pays taxes, right? Uncle Sam always asks for their share. So they were paying huge taxes. We reduced that drastically to the minimum numbers. So that also plays a very big component because automatically you have cash flow paying for your mortgage from the tax that has got diverted, correct? And every time he calls me, like he has a biggest smile on his face because all his friends are still struggling while he's already in the house. And not only that, he refied it at 3% interest rate. So what happens is on the back side, there is amortization schedule. Like if I tell you, okay, $1 million loan, 4% last year, the interest rate was 3%, this year 4%, you would say, okay, that 1 million is 40,000, that makes a difference, right? It's not that. When you look at the amortization schedule, it's much beyond that. So amortization schedule, which is at 6% versus the amortization schedule at 4% pays more of the principal down. So that's the magic, and I am able to calculate that amortization table, and if you blend it all together, the saving is huge. It's not just 40,000 per year. Why people are buying with the low interest rate is because of that also. If you see the back end of the loan, there is a big number difference in the whole thing. So this is the second home that we built up, which I talked about in 15 years, brand new. And it was an emerging market. So when that investment matures, there will be a big gap between, because the houses next door sold for 625, something like that, and we were able to get in 400s with the new builder because the earlier people went into bankruptcy. So we were able to get a distressed property. So there are areas in our areas which are still distressed and we are able to get something like that. So after we do all that, we come to the next juncture, which is the commercial properties. And these are the cash flow properties we talk about, which, like if you compare to rent versus commercial properties, you are not on the loan, but you are able to get positive cash flow from the day they close. And the rate of return is 20% plus. So we recently did project in Chicago, 236 apartments for 12 million. Then we have done in Dallas. And right now we are just closing on Atlanta, $25 million project. Now somebody else is on the loan. These are not like crowdfunding or anything like that, because these are all SEC based. We have lawyers and everybody involved. But the thing is, every quarter you get a check. So last year when we invested in Dallas, our clients on $100,000 got a check. Like we closed in May, they got a check in June, July, and then in October they got a whole quarter check of $2,500. And then guess what? Because the property was doing so well, the asset manager returned 25% of the capital. So by 6 to 7 months, they already got 30,000 of the 100,000 back with them. So guess what my clients did? Because it was doing so well, my clients, what they did was, hey Pallavi, before even the quarter is up, when is the next project coming? And they doubled their investment. So now they have another 200,000 for the next project. And that way, within a year, they built up 400,000. And so every quarter, the rate of return on average, so they give like 8%, 8.4, you do the multiplication, 8.4 are 32,000 per year, and you divide it into 4 quarters. But when and the exit policy is like within 3 to 5 years, and that time you get the rest of the money, but the calculated rate of return is 23% per year. So what I'm trying to say is we just focus on rate of return and we just throttle it up. So the clients love it. I mean, the clients, it takes time to see, but when they see even a little bit of it, and what else was happening was the 30,000 that they got back, they reinvested in the next project, so it is compounding. So if you look at a broader picture, it's like $1 million or take what, 500,000. It doubles 5 years, and when you're not looking, it just doubles from 1 million to 2 million in less than 10 years. So this becomes like, especially when education comes for the children going to college funds, instead of using capital, you are just using the money earned from the capital, and the capital is intact. Does that make sense? And other thing that happens is, because we have a cash flow situation, so we buy a lot of insurance policies. That what if someone passes away, or what if somebody loses job, or something like that, we have it, right? But they pay 8 to 9%. But here we cut out all the middlemen, so we are getting 20% plus. And if anybody loses job, we still have something parallel going, which kind of gives a cash flow situation. Because see, in our properties, what happens is whatever price increase is done, it's in paper only, but we have to pay the mortgage, and nothing comes in our hand. We are just working on salaries and feeding into that proposal, correct? But here, every quarter we are getting a check. So that means if anybody loses job, anything like that, we have a fallback plan. And if we don't need it, it translates into education fund. Whatever we use it, if we don't need it, or we use partial, and it goes into the next level, which is the retirement fund. And if we pass away, it goes as a legacy to children. So instead of giving them $500,000, we are giving them every quarterly a distribution. So instead of giving them as them squandering the money, it's going in pieces. So this is something huge. It's all legal based. And so what is my backing? What is my background? So first, my background is Roger Palmieri was here, right here. And he just, so it's like Tom Ferry and Gino, and I went to all those seminars, okay? I've gone to all these companies and all. But they all talk about what's going on in the market. Oh, you need to do door knocking, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I said, oh my God, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. So nothing is tuned as to what are your strengths. Nothing is geared up to who am I and why did I get into this business? Because it was to develop my own self-business, right? It was not to do what others tell me to do. And these are all the people who tell you do this, do this, do this, and I come home and I go like, oh my God, I can't door knock, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is so shallow. Where am I going to get the clients from? Oh my God. So what Roger does, he goes one step further. He just rewires your brain, and it's all about you. So what he did was he made me go through Gallup test, he made me do this, and the thing is, he leveraged my strengths. Instead of, it was all about me. It made my dreams come true. So this was a dream which I dreamt about 40 years ago, when I was working with a company syndicate who had 200 shopping centers as an accountant. But nothing was getting there. It was all this retail, real estate, and all this door knocking of which didn't make sense to me. And then when I met him, I said, oh my God. For 3 days I didn't talk to nobody because we were on vacation. I said, this can't be happening. But then I didn't even realize he was chiseling me. He always said, oh, uncut diamond. And then one day he asked me, okay, Pallavi, what are you going to do next year? What is your salary going to be like? And I said, oh my God, what am I supposed to say? So what I did was, last year I made this, and you know what? I can't go with that number because after I have trained with him, I better put a little higher number, right? That's human psychology. I put a little higher number. I said, I'll work hard and I'll make it to that number, right? And when I walk in and I tell him that this is the number, and he says, I just double it. He double dared me. So he's the orthodox book. I dare you to dream. I double dare you, and he double dared me. And I said, okay, with the reduced inventory and with the way the market conditions are and my personality, there is no way I can make this. So again I went back to my table and I said, what can I do? I went to all my contacts and I just expanded my toolkit. So I just expanded, went for training for this commercial family, and I could get it because of my loan background and accounting background. So I was able to get that and open up a new streamline of business, and because I know my taxes, I was able to defer it so that it becomes due when I retire. So not only it gives me the retirement income, but it doesn't affect me in taxes. So I just put it into a passive situation. So this is what he has done for me, and he will do right here. So my other coach is Dave Linder, who is in commercial properties, and so he was a gardener, and now he has 8,200 apartments in this all this down market and all these things that he did. He's from Harvard University. A gardener went to Harvard University, graduated, and he co-authored a book with Donald Trump. So it was a mind-blowing event. So he's my other coach for the commercial training. And we are backed up by the lawyers like Lerman Law. Jeff Lerman is, so these are all family funds that suddenly it opens up doors to family funds, people who have family funds, and he has about 400 million. He owns a Sheraton in Beverly Hills. But you come in contact with them, and then they are doing all these things that we are talking about. So it's for that middle people, not the billionaires, but the middle people, how to make money and build up your family. So he is one of my other legal partners, and his wife is again, they have 6-7 offices in the Bay Area, and they prepare estates. They are in Marin County and local. So they are the family fund people who invest, and recently I joined Legacy after being with Century 21 and Intero, short sale, no modifications. So they invited me to be a coach for all the people coming to improve your bottom line. Basically to think about you, how you can prosper in this kind of declining inventory markets. I am a loan officer at General Mortgage Corporation. They have multiple offices. So we have in-house lending. We have 40 processors and in-house Wells Fargo, Fremont Bank, all the underwriters, 6 underwriters in-house. So this is huge. Especially last year, this is what happened was, even though I was a loan officer, we had to transfer all the loans to Wells Fargo Bank because they had cheaper loans than anybody else in the marketplace. And it was all China money coming at very low rates, just like the China goods. So a lot of mortgage companies either went out of business because they couldn't do the big loans, jumbo loans. And in our area, we do nothing but jumbo loans. And so a lot of people went out of business, and guess what? People are from China, but these are the people who have remained and who are doing more than $1 billion of business, very huge. And so we are part of that. And everybody knows we need mortgage brokers nowadays, sophisticated ones who can monitor all your paperwork. And also if one of the lenders like Wells Fargo, the thing is, I had a question like different mortgage products. So everybody knows that Wells Fargo, if you don't have a rental property, then in your departure property, they make you sell the departure property. So we had a very good situation, or most of my clients, because we can do the loan portfolio, we are able to take that out of the contingency so that it doesn't hamper the forward property, and we can buy the other property and then sell this at a later date, so we are not between the two houses. So with the mortgage broker, we are able to, so say for example, Wells Fargo needs a 2-year rental history with the tax returns and all, but we have alternate lenders where you don't require such a big history. So this is huge. So when you are mortgage brokers and all the paperwork is under one banner, we are able to choose a different mortgage company which fits the client's needs. We are also able to fluctuate them from 30 years to 5 years, 3 years to close the deal and then refinance. Because when you are closing the deal, it's a different parameter than when you are refinancing. And the thing is, when we have in-house lending, the small loans, they can just close in few days, like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and they can just fund it from inside within. And because we have 6 underwriters, they can see your paperwork like this and then do it. So what do I specialize in is how to package your offer in multiple offer markets. So I have been always dealing with multiple offers because I used to service Arnold area, Mission, Sunnyvale. We have like 400,000 above this and all those deals going on. So we are able to get all the documents of clients, loan documents, have it on the bank or pre-approved, and then we go for the real estate. So that way we are not surprised. Clients always tell you one thing. Recently I had a guy running a $2 million property with Daphne, our office, and then he decided, oh, let me go with Timothy Cockton or whatever X, Y, Z. The thing is, when we pull the credit report, and he is my client for 10 years, right? But when we pull the credit report, there was a flaw. And so the realtors don't see that, and they just gun for the property, and we don't try to pull the credit report because the scores get diminished until we really, really need it. So it was totally surprised that we couldn't do the loan. But the thing is, the realtor, if they don't have this blessing of the loan, they could have gone without contingency and all these offers, and then you can jeopardize the whole thing. That it's, for me, that's the nerve center of the business is the loans. It's not real estate. First, the loans need to get cleared. We need to have options, and then we should make an offer. And then, if the thing is, we can go non-contiguous based on that. So the stacking, the packaging that we do for the multiple offer is huge. Already we did short sales, we are on the 4th step, come on the radio shows and like that. And these are the testimonials, and in fact one of my clients is sitting right here, Fanny, and he can talk a little bit about it.
There's nothing special to talk. Actually, as she already introduced me, I heard her over the radio someday. I was living in a townhome there, and I had a rental property before. I wanted to get rid of that property because it was under the water. Somehow I want to get rid of it, and then she and I, we sat together. She got through all my financial situation, everything, and kind of adjusted ourselves how to leverage. One good thing that I learned from that is, even though I have the equity, it got locked in the property where I am living. Unless I come out of it, right? So I cannot leverage that money. The same equity, whatever, when I say 100K, 200K, that if you invested in 2 different properties, that leverages it. And one more thing what I appreciate Pallavi helping us is about the time, the time when we need to strike the iron when it is hot, right? So when she knows when the market fluctuates, the loan interest rates are. So it's all how we can utilize the same limited funds in different ways. So I can't speak much more about her. I'm so very happy. Those 2 properties, what she was taking an example, they are mine. Thank you, Pallavi. As she always says, always you should dream big. That's my logic.
So the other thing was when he came for short sale, you remember the short sale situation, right? He didn't qualify. See, we had a worksheet and we knew right away what the lender would ask and what your income should be. So the first thing I told him was, hey, you don't qualify. Can we do something else? And it's unbelievable. We went through 12 transactions just in a couple of years. First of all, from Fremont to Dublin, because he said, oh, I don't know what Dublin is. And within 6 months, he calls me and says, I have seen my dream house. I said, are you kidding? Within 6 months, are we going to sell? Yes. But we had done remodeling. We have a rehab team. We had done remodeling before he moved in. So within 24 hours, we could come on the market. But instead of that, what we did was, as a loan specialist, I was able to buy the property first. We waited till the market improved before we let the property that he had bought just a year ago go, and to make sure he broke even on those properties also. And then he moved to the new property. So that's how important it is, the loan component of the whole thing. So here's Roger.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to see all your smiling faces. You know, we have some actual sunshine today. And when it rains, I always refer to it as liquid sunshine. So we've had enough of that for a while. So we're all good. And Pat and I have known each other for about a little over a year and a half, and she's done so exceedingly well. And one of the things, just a quick background on myself here is February the 14th, I celebrated my 39th anniversary in business. I've been married 44 years. So, 39 years. Isn't that amazing? And you saw some of this, have trained over 1 million people worldwide, and probably been in front of, latest counted, a little over 6 million people. And the most interesting thing is that this whole dream big thing, it's kind of been an amazing venture, because a little over 2 years ago, a very dear friend of mine called me up and he said, hey, can we go out and have a beer Friday afternoon? I said, sure. And we got together and we sat down and exchanged our few pleasantries, and then he says to me, how's the book coming along? And I went, what? How's the book coming along? I go, what book are you talking about? He goes, you know that one you're supposed to write? And I went, he goes, people need to hear the dream big philosophy. I went, okay. So I went home, and my wife says to me, how was your meeting with Todd? And I said, it was great. And I said, but you know, he told me the strangest thing. He said that I should write a book. You know, ladies, how you can put your hand on your hips and your eyebrow goes up here and everything, you know, all the ladies are smiling, so you know you can do it. And she goes, you've been threatening me with that for the last 5 years, would you just please do it? I went, okay. And I had no contacts in the literary business. I knew no one at all. And I started writing the book. And then I finished it. I called up a friend of mine, and the group that I was working with at the time, I told them, I said, hey, you guys, I want to write a book. And they went, oh my God, do you know anybody? I go, no, I don't. They said, well, how's that going to happen? And I go, I don't know. That's not for me to understand. I'm just supposed to do what I'm supposed to do. Write it. The rest will fall into place. So would that be considered a leap of faith? Yeah, because everybody kind of wants to figure it out. And that's one of the things that keeps people from getting to where they want to go. So I said, I'll have this written and published within a year or less. And I did it in 11 and a half months. And then I called a friend of mine after the manuscript was done. I called him, I said, hey Bob, do we know anybody in the publishing business at all? And he goes, let me make a call. I think I might know somebody. And he calls this guy, David Hancock, who is the president and CEO of Morgan James Publishing. They're one of the big 7 out of New York. He tells David about myself, and he calls me back. He said, David would like to talk to you tomorrow. Can you be available at 3 o'clock for a conference call? I said, sure. Get on the phone, and this is the most interesting thing. He goes, hi, Roger. He goes, I've got it scheduled for 90 minutes. At the 75-minute mark, I'll tell you, we've got 15 minutes left. And he did nothing but rapid fire me with questions about the book. Where I was going with it, what the premise was, what my target market was, what my price point, distribution channels. And guess what? And I told him everything. And then at that 75-minute mark, he goes, just want you to know something. I want to publish your book. You got any more that you're going to write? I go, yeah, I've got like 4 more that I'm going to do. And he goes, I want to publish those 2. And he says, I'm going to send you a contract, have your lawyers look it over, and let's talk in 3 days. I go, okay. He hangs up. Bob is still on the phone. I go, Bob, what the hell just happened? He goes, he's going to publish it. And I'm proud to tell you, this little book here, it's in 15 languages now. 15 languages. Now, was this kind of a big dream? You better. And if somebody would have told me 10 years ago that I was going to do that, I'd have gone, I don't know what you're smoking, but can I have something? Because this is what we all thrive to do. This is what we want to do, right? Everybody sitting in this room, and I've told everybody, I wrote this book for you. And you're going to go, but you don't even know me. And I'm going, yes, I do. And you're going to go, no, you don't. And I'm going to go, yes, I do. Do you have a big dream? And what are you going to tell me? Yeah. It's a little enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And you do. Probably more than one. And so the idea is, I'm always asking people, how come you haven't pursued it? Oh, wow. And here comes a string of excuses. Right? I don't have the contacts. I got this, I got that. Whatever it is, at the end of the day, you are exactly where you are. So I'm the guy that says, I studied success. That's what I did. My background, don't anybody panic, is a behavioral therapist. So everybody who's smiling and chuckling, I know who's been in therapy. So it's okay. But that was my curiosity streak to find out what makes people successful, what makes people mediocre, what makes them even fail, right? And all of a sudden you begin to see some things. And I just pulled a piece of research out of Carnegie Institute of Technology, which you will find fascinating. They said 85% of a company and or individual success is based upon their personality traits, habits, attitudes, and behavior. And only 15% is product knowledge. Now I know you're sitting there going, what the hell just happened? Because the way the school system teaches us is get a good education, get a good education, get a good job, right? Okay. And I don't know how many of you might follow Warren Buffett. I do. I know him personally. I've actually had a lunch with him. And here's the most fascinating thing. He says, do you think entrepreneurship is difficult? Try working for a company for 30 years and then living on Social Security. Right? So, there was another thing that I did. How many of you have seen the movie The Secret? Anybody see it?
Yeah.
Listen to the tape. Okay, read the book possibly. Okay, remember the star of it, Dr. Joe Vitale? Yeah, okay. He's a star. Somebody sent him a copy of my book, and a year ago, he called me up on a Sunday afternoon. And I didn't recognize the area code, because it's coming from Texas. And I don't usually answer those calls. Voicemail. And I picked up the phone because I had some friend that lived in the area code, but I didn't recognize the prefecture, right? And he goes, hey, Roger. I go, yeah? Who's this? He goes, Joe. Joe who? He goes, Joe Vitale, you know, from The Secret? I went, oh my God, Joe. What was the pleasure of this call? And he goes, a friend of mine sent me a copy of your book. I read it. I absolutely love it. I'm going to be doing a book on prosperity. I love what you wrote about. I want you to co-author it with me. And I'll put you on the cover with me. Well, okay. Okay. And lo and behold, it became the #1 bestseller on Amazon. Out of 1 million authors. So, The reason I tell you this is so that you kind of get the idea. And I got a great handout for you because I always like to make sure that people walk away with some take-home value. So if you'll take one of those and pass them back, and if you'll grab a couple of those and pass them back, that would be cool. And even in the cheap seats back there. Okay, so I founded the company on the premises because when you start looking at a one-page business plan, there's some things to do that are relative and important to us. Oh, before we go any further, does everybody got a business card for me? Huh? Business card? Okay, let's do this. It's important. Here's one. Yeah, good. We're going to do this. I'm going to give you one of mine. You give me one of yours. I don't want to throw it.
No, that's okay. That's mine.
Okay. You have mine, yes.
I don't have one.
Okay.
Exchange.
Exchange.
Why not? Thanks.
Everybody got one now? Cool.
Here.
Here you go, Roger. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Take one of those. And you don't want to play cards with me. Okay. Okay, these two here. So I got everybody? Nice. Okay. So when we do this, there's a couple of things to take into account. I founded the premise of the company on these premises right here. See, it says passion, purpose, prosperity, and power. All right. So let's deal from the standpoint. Let's forget about product knowledge. I'm not going to talk to you any stuff about that. I'm not going to talk to you about farming, any of the nonsense. What I'm going to talk to you about and share ideas with you about is how you can get to where you want to go. Sound like a good idea? Because training is what it's all about. And I know Pat mentioned a bunch of different trainers, and I'm always saying this. Be careful about following the masses because many times the M is silent. Now you got it, right? And so what Pat was saying is, I don't do that. I don't put thousands of people in a room. You can't train that way. You can't do it. I don't care who you are. So I've always individualized it in small, intimate groups. And I have people that totally outperform themselves all of the time. And you all know who Carol Rodoni is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Carol read my book. And she called me up. I saw her. I've known her for years. I saw her at an event about a year and a half ago. And she came up behind me. How tiny she is. She comes up behind me and she goes, "Watch her." I turn around and I go, "Oh, Carol." And we hugged. And she goes, "I heard you wrote a book." I go, "Yes, I did." She says, "Can I have one?" I go, "Of course." She said, "Will you sign it for me?" I said, "Of course." By 3 in the afternoon, she sent me back an email. "I just finished reading your book. I absolutely love it. And anybody that doesn't read this and do what you tell them to do is going to miss out." I go, "Wow. Would you mind putting that in writing for me, Carol?" And she did. She did. And so I want you to take some notes here as we talk, okay? So let's talk about this thing we call passion, all right? You say, the most commonly asked question I am asked is, how do I find my passion? So what you want to write down for your answer is inventory your talents. Inventory your talents, and then identify what your number one talent is. Okay. Now, do people have passion? What do you think? Well, kind of. Kind of. Because if they were really passion-driven, they would be totally outperforming themselves, right? So how does that happen? Well, it happens under the next one where I put reverse clock watching. Anybody have an idea what that is? Most people always looking at that clock. It's the time to go, it's the time to do this, time to do that. And reverse clock watching is, write this down please, okay? That's when you lose track of time. You know when you've been doing something you absolutely love, and you'll say something like this, I could just do this all day long. Right? Now, the big question I have for you is like when I was writing this book, it's like, man, you know, because everybody say, how did you do that? All your speaking engagements, all your training you're doing, how did you find the time to write the book? And I said, at any given moment, and there would be times that I would go to my office, right? My wife would come in and she would wake me up because I fell asleep. Or I would be wide awake. And she goes, it's 4:30. I go, I know. I said, I gotta write, I gotta get this thing done. See, you've gotta let your passion pull you. And everybody has it. It's like, if you asked yourself this is a hard question. Why did I get into business? Why did I get into this business? And I'll tell you why you did. One, unlimited income potential. Secondly, you want to be your own boss. And thirdly, you want to manage your own time. Right? Okay. How you doing with all those things?
Managing the time is the only thing we're doing.
Yeah. And so what I've always done is train on mindset. Now, if you go back 10 years ago, you know, that's when the word started getting popular. And it's interesting because I look at all these other speakers out there, they use the catchphrase, but I'm the only guy who actually trains on it. And I'm the only guy who's got the background for it. So people use phraseology that they ought not to be using. You know, you don't go to the dentist and say, God, I broke my arm, can you fix it? You go, no, that's not what I do. Right? But the reverse clock watching is where your passion comes from. Now, your dreams. What are your dreams? So write this down. Your dreams are a preview of your future. Your dreams are a preview of your future. So if I were to ask you this question, diagnostic question. Where do you want to be this time next year? If you don't know, you're already there. I know. So, please understand, part of Pat knows this about me. You guys don't get it. Part of what I do is kind of annoy you. Because you got enough people that placate you, you can tell your story to them. They put you on their shoulder and work and stuff. You know, we gotta get used to life is hardball. It's not slow pitch softball. And I know people have this enormous potential residing in them, and they won't let it come out. I know Pat told you some of the story that Zig Ziglar was my first trainer. I had him for 18 months. He crossed over, a few years ago. And when I first saw Zig, I was down in Los Angeles with a couple of thousand other people in a room, and I thought, this is 1976, which I'd be out there. And I went, oh, you know what? I got to train. And he was leaving that day back to Chicago, and I go, oh, I got to get to Chicago. I need to have a lot of money. And I went around to all my friends. They go borrow $50, they borrow $100, got to borrow $20 anyway. I raised about.
That was a lot in 76.
Yeah, I know it was. And I needed about $3,000 for airfare. You know, I couldn't stay in a hotel Zig was staying in, so I stayed in another less expensive hotel where you had to put the chair in front of the doorknob at nights, and I could only eat one meal a day. And so I found out what hotel he was at and where the program was, and they didn't have the security like they have now. And I cajoled the lady at the desk to tell me what room he was in. I did dinner, but that's okay. And I just said, I sat in front of his door and I fell asleep. He opens the door and I fell in. And he goes, how Mary? I go, hi, Mrs. Ziegler. Puts his hand down and helps me up. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I need you to train me. I want you to train me. I don't do that. I don't have any time. My schedule is full. I said, no. I need you to do this. No, that's not what I do. I need you to do this. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I go, you taught me something yesterday in Los Angeles. You told me to never take no for an answer. And he went, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this with you. But you're going to do it everything I tell you to do. And I'm going to have you set a goal so large that the only reason that you knew you achieved it is because what I taught you. I went, I'm all in. I am all in. Now, listen. I set a big goal for myself. 1976, ready for this? 100,000. That seemed like and so the end of the year came, and of course I'm training with him and everything, and he goes, where are we? And I go, missed the goal today, missed the goal. He goes, by how much? I said, $123,976. So I superseded the goal that he had set for myself. I'm going to tell you why. Granted, I'm an overachiever. Good enough is never good enough for me. Okay? It's never been a model that I've ever lived by. I've always wanted to go beyond what even I thought I could do. And what happened, and you saw Pat talking about this, momentum. Momentum builds when you're doing good and great things. You want to move forward with what you're doing. Okay? Second element of this is your purpose. This is very interesting. What does knowing your purpose do for you? What you want to write down for yourself is this. It feeds you energy, inspiration, and ideas. Your purpose feeds you energy, inspiration, and ideas. Right. That's pretty cool, isn't it? But if you ask people today, what's your purpose? They go, I don't know. How much money are you going to pay yourself this year? I don't know. Where are you going to be next year at this time? I don't know. See, there's a lot of I don't knows. So what you end up doing is settling for circumstances rather than creating the circumstances that you want. Because when this book was written, here's the interesting thing. That was last year when I sat down with my wife and we go through 3 days of a strategic planning for our year. And one of the things I said, I don't know how this is going to happen, honey, but somebody or bodies from The Secret is going to reach out to me and ask me to do something. And she goes, really? I go, yeah. Well, guess what? Nothing happened until August. Boom, Joe called. And it gets done that fast. He called me to tell me, again, on a Sunday, you're the #1 bestseller. I go, cool. And he goes, what are you going to do now? I go, well, Joe, since I've done it once, I'm going to do it again. So books 3 and 4 are in process. So momentum's an interesting thing, isn't it? But it's purpose-driven. See, your business plan has to be purpose-driven. Next item. This is the most important one. Why haven't I changed to pursue my big dreams? What do you think? What do you think about that? Why haven't I changed to pursue my big dreams? Means that why don't people change?
Because you're not focused on their purpose.
That's one thing. What else?
Fear, comfort.
They don't know what their dream is.
They don't know what their dream is?
Comfort, like what they don't want to do. Not motivated.
Not motivated enough?
Fear,
Of?
Fear
fail,
Fear of change. Fear of change. Comfort zone.
They sabotage themselves with excuses and why they're not doing it.
Okay. So here's all those answers are honing around the thing, but at the level of cause, I'm going to give you the 2 reasons, so write these down for yourself. People emotionally believe that they can't change. They emotionally believe they can't change. And the second reason is people are afraid to make a choice on their future. People are afraid to make a choice on their future. So we hear the fear of change, we hear the fear of failure, but I'm going to tell you what it's really all about, as strange as this is going to sound to you, is the fear of success. What if I woke up tomorrow morning and my life worked? What if I didn't have anything to complain about and bitch about anymore? What would it be like? I know, I know, it kind of takes your breath away, doesn't it? You kind of go, wow, I never thought of it that way. And I'm the guy that's always encouraging people to go after their big dreams. And I get emails from people from around the world who have read my book. And thank God for Google Translate, because a lot of times they send it in their native tongue. And it's amazing the stories they tell me. All sorts of phenomenal things. Like my relationship, I kept my relationship together. We're going to get divorced, but we read your book and we got on the same page with one another. We stayed together, and our relationship is stronger than better than ever. On the business level, you name it. I mean, people have done phenomenal things, and there's the testimony right there. You know, with Pat. And if people would give themselves the opportunity to see what they could really do, because we've talked ourselves out of change. Because when it comes to change, there's three types of people. Okay? This is pretty interesting. You can just make a note someplace on there. I didn't put it on that outline, but because we're talking about this for a second. We have three types of people. The first group of people are the timid people. Timid people. And I'm going to tell you what. They are scared to death of change. Scared to death. Now the second group of people are the people who are comfortable. They're the status quoers. Isn't good enough? Oh, I'm paying my bills. I don't know if anybody ever told you this. You weren't put on this planet to pay your bills. You know, life is to be an enjoyment. But that second group of people there, the comfortable people, they're threatened. They're threatened. Now, the third group of people, rather, are the confident people. Confident. And you know what? They see change as opportunity. They see change as opportunity. All the people that train with me, and they start telling me their big dreams, and then they say, well, how come you haven't done it? And they give me all the reasoning. And I said, you know what it's going to say on your tombstone? Play it safer. That's what it's going to say. It's going to have your name. It's going to be the year you're born, a dash, and the year you expire, followed by play it safe. So when people come to me and they go, I'll query them, tell me what your big dream is, tell me what it is. And I get it out of them, and I go, so let's do this. And they go, what? Let's do this. Because anytime you come to me with an idea that's a big dream, you know what my answer is always going to be? Oh, hell yeah, let's do it. It's that simple. But you know what? You've been educated. You need to figure it all out. Richard Branson is one of my heroes. Virgin Airlines, Virgin Records, everything. I'll be meeting him in a few months, as a matter of fact. I get to go to his island. And somebody sent him a copy of my book and open the door, right? I like this stuff, you know. And I ping back, can I come? Because if you don't ask, what's the answer always? No. Right? So I took a look at it and say, okay, look, opportunity abounds around us, we see it, but people are kind of asleep at the wheel with it. So, you know, I've always said, why are agents going and door knocking, and why are they sending out postcards for a month or two, and then they go, oh, then I'm not getting anything in return, right? They're throwing money away, and so I look at it the other way around. I'll give you a really quick hint. Do you know 100 people? Do you know 100 people?
Yes.
Huh? They know you, they like you, and they love you.
Yes.
Huh? Do you constantly remind them that you're in the real estate business?
Yes.
No, you don't. Because you know what? If you did, you would be massively successful. So your greatest consistency is inconsistency. See? So when people train with me, every day, see, they're accountable to me. You can't have an accountability partner in your office. Why doesn't that work?
Because
Yeah, because one, you're friends, but you got a great idea. Somebody mentions it, and you go, let's meet tomorrow morning at 8:30. Let's have a 15-minute accountability session. Great idea. I call you at 8:25. I can't make it. What? I'm here, I'm waiting. I know, but this happened then. You know, I got a 911. I got to put out a fire. I go, but you don't look like a fireman. But if you envision yourself that way, I'm going to tell you the only thing you're going to get are 911s. Right? And that's the way that it goes. That's the way that it goes until people understand they can take charge of their life. And they can have it the way they want to have it. Does that make sense? So all these people who are accountable with me is this. I deal from this. Revenue generating activities. RGA. And you have a plan that you follow. Kind of cool, huh? Take a look at letter D. What has been the most painful challenge in your life? So write this down for yourself. Everyone has one, believe me. Everyone has one. Either it's going to be a stepping stone or a stumbling block. You ever hear people that will talk to you and then maybe they'll be talking about a relationship that didn't work out and they got divorced, and you ask them, how long ago did that happen? And they go, 20 years ago. And you're still talking about it? You have not moved on? Oh, but you don't understand. I used to get this all the time when I was in private practice. Sometimes my mouth will speak before my brain will engage. And this lady went off for her husband and she goes, I gave him the very best years of my life. And I said, well, what's the next poor sucker going to get? Really? Really? He got the best? What am I, chopped liver here or what? So you have to be careful about the words that you use with yourself. And most people, the moment they see a stumbling block, they don't view it as a stepping stone. You should be grateful for every heartache you've ever had in your life. I know that sounds strange to you. But if you will use it, and let me tell you why I'm going to say that very quickly. You guys enjoying this so far?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me tell you this. 1967 through 1969, I served Special Operations Group in the Marines when I was in Vietnam. Okay? I went over with 60 guys. 2 of us are alive. My best friend, for those of you who've read my book, we deployed together. 23 days later, he was 10 feet away from me, and he was killed very violently. And I went into a bad space. Bad space. I was only supposed to serve 13 months, but they involuntarily extended me for another 6. So I did 18 months. I was wounded 4 different times. And believe me, I came back with a really, really, really bad attitude. Me and Jack Daniel were best friends, man. In any artificial substance I could find to numb the pain. And finally, I couldn't even sleep in a bed. I was sleeping on the floor, and I was at home, and my mom, I said, Mom, if you need to wake me up, don't touch me. Just poke me with a broom handle or something, but don't touch me. Well, she forgot. I sprang up off the floor, threw her up against the wall. I was choking her, and then I let go. I went, oh my God, I'm sorry. And she goes, you have an Italian mother. You got to remember, you always take a step and a half back so you're out of range. And the interesting thing was, is that she said, that's it for you, buddy boy. And she called a friend of the family who was a psychologist, and that started my road back to where. Now, what you want to understand, the reason I tell you that story is no more dramatic than something that's happened to you in your life, believe me. But what I'm saying to you, if I can use that as a stepping stone, anything that's happened in your life, so can you. Yes or yes?
That's very true.
Yeah, see, those are your choices today, yes or yes. We've all got a sad story. If everybody told me yours, we'd all be in tears here in about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I don't think no one has one as bad as the one you just told.
Well,
Seriously.
Listen, this is what we're challenged with throughout our life. And if you use it in the right way, it can propel you forward. It can propel you forward. It's, people need to get off the pity pot with it, and go, okay, look, this is my life, and I get to have it the way I want to have it. Because it doesn't matter who's in the White House. Whether you like Trump or you dislike him, that doesn't even matter. Do you think who was ever president is going to lay their head down tonight and go, geez, I hope they're all okay tonight? Right? No. If you want something, go get it. Like I've always said, Pat's heard me say this 1,000 times. The money's already been printed. Go get it. That's what it means. Okay, next thing. Number 3, prosperity. Financial. Your plan should be. What percentage of your prosperity plan should be strategy? Anybody have an idea?
80%.
Anybody else? We got 80%. What else do we have?
I'd like to revise that.
Okay, go ahead.
After what you shared, I'd say passion would be more at 80%. Strategy might be a good 20%.
Very close.
10%.
Thank you. 10% is strategy. And then passion is?
80%.
No?
How about 75? 60?
90.
90.
90.
Oh,
Because I'm going to tell you something. Then you see what letter C there? It says not money. Then there's a blank line. Put in lifestyle. Put in lifestyle. Now, I'm going to ask you a tough question. Why have you been procrastinating on the lifestyle that you want? Not a trick question.
Not ready.
you don't know how to get it, how to be there.
That's exactly what it gets through. These people go, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. The interesting thing is, everybody knows who Kobe Bryant is? Arguably one of the greatest basketball players to have lived, right? I was watching an interview with him the other night, and they were asking him about his work ethic, and he goes, the work ethic's not the thing, it's the mindset. Oh, God, great, wonderful, thank you, Kobe. And he goes, I haven't reached my potential yet. I haven't reached my potential yet. So I'm going to keep improving my mindset. See what I'm saying? Same exact thing for all of us at whatever level. Doesn't make any difference. It's like you guys watch the Super Bowl game, right? I went with the Patriots. Everybody's, oh God, Roger, the Falcons are going to kill them, blah, blah, blah. I said, we'll see. We'll see. I said, you got a team that's been there 4 times before. Brady's been there 4 times before. This isn't a game to him.
Their mindset definitely wasn't losing, and they could not catch up and win. It was totally opposite.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Everybody during the first half went, oh, see, the Falcons are doing it. No team has ever come back. And I was sitting there with all my friends, and they go, oh, Roger, you're right, man.
Did you bet on it? Pull out the money.
So we did that. I said, pay up, sucker. And it worked this way. This was the amazing thing, because after the halftime show, they came back. Did you notice something? The Falcons were out of gas. They were out of gas. And Brady, being an experienced Super Bowl winner, carved them apart. So there's always something to be said for your mindset, isn't there? Then he mentions it after the game in his interview. Now here's the interesting thing. I've been talking about quantum physics since '78. Everybody go, oh God, what planet are you from? I'm going, you guys got to understand this. And I had some friends that went out and bought some books on quantum physics, and they go, are you kidding me? How do you understand this? I said, it's not as difficult as you think it is. You just think it's difficult, so it is. Now it's mainstream, isn't it? Mainstream. That people get an opportunity to change the way that they think without the effort and struggle involved. Okay? So, you like the lifestyle part, huh? You go,
Yeah.
you know what? That I can go for. So, letter D. This is really, really important for you. The one life working principle that will always give you what you want is to do what? Write it down. Write it down. See, when I talk to you about lifestyle, I'm going to say this to you. What kind of home do you want to live? What kind of car do you want to drive? What places do you want to vacation to? And if I say, you know, where have you wanted to go on vacation and have not gone yet? You tell me what?
Europe.
Where?
Europe.
Oh, okay, you're pretty big. Where?
Paris,
Paris.
Spain,
Yeah.
Spain.
London.
London.
Yeah.
What else?
Japan.
Japan.
Yeah, Singapore.
Yeah. And you know what you do? This is what you said to yourself. See if I'm going to be accurate. You go. When I get the money and the time, then I'm going to go. Satisfaction derailed. Epic goal falls by the wayside. And you're going to say, but Roger, you don't understand. And I can sit here and cite you testimony after testimony after testimony, and you go, oh, well, you know, you can do what I can't. And I go, no, that's not the way that it works. You guys already have a preview of what was a stepping stone for me. Right? So we're all given choices. What's the lifestyle? The very first time I took my wife to Hawaii, Hawaiian Airlines. You ever flown on Hawaiian Airlines?
Yeah.
Really cool. So I upgraded the tickets as a surprise for her, the first class. And yeah, I know, she was like, walk up the way, and she started to turn right, and the attendant says, no, you're seated in first class. She turns around, she looks at me, and I went, surprise. And we came back the same way. When we're getting in the limo to go home, she says to me, turns around, gives me a big kiss, and said this, I am never turning right on an aircraft again. Now some people go, well, what difference does it make if I first class or coach? And what difference? Well, there's a lot of difference. Right? And now we mostly go by private jet. I just order a private jet, that's what we do. Because life is meant to be enjoyed. You can't take it with you. In fact, if my wife was here, she'd say, Roger just hates money. He spends it as fast as he possibly can. Because that's the exchange that we do. Much what Pat is talking about, right? We want to leave a legacy. I mean, this is the way that I look at it. Is it time to stop being broke, busted, and disgusted? Did you hear everybody at the beginning of the year do the same thing? New year, new me. I go, oh God, here we go. I go down to the gym. Every bonehead in the world's got their, they got their gym membership. And I go, oh God, when do we get our gym back? And we all know the answer. By the end of the month, they'll all be gone. Because they think the benches are rest stops. And they can talk on their phone. And I walk over and go, move it. All right? Just understand that you got some choices, and let's push it into number 4, power. Reach and grab your personal power by taking responsibility of, and this is what I want you to write down, removing self-imposed limitations, fears, and doubts. Removing self-imposed limitations, fears, and doubts. Now, you will argue with me and say, my limitations are not self-imposed. I mean, well, yes, they are. You bought into them, you believed them, Yeah, but when mom and dad told me, I know they did. But you've been an adult a lot longer than you've been a kid. So shift your mindset. Now, letter B, this power becomes available to you, turn it down, when you change your beliefs. When you change your beliefs. I wish I could tell you that was my quote. It's not. That was by an author called Maxwell Maltz. He wrote a book back in the 60s called Psycho-Cybernetics. I found that book in the late 70s at a swap meet for 50 cents. I picked it up, I went home, and I read it, and a year and a half later I made my first $1 million. So, if you're not looking for opportunities, what will you only see? Obstacles, barriers. And none are there other than the ones that we have allowed to be there in the first place. Okay? So, I'm going to be, got a couple of these here. We'll pass these back one. I'm going to be doing a full-blown presentation on March the 2nd down in San Jose. People to jump away. But what I wanted to do for a moment is, so run down there. Can you pass?
There's one.
And you remember I talked to you about Carol? Yeah, she's kind of cool because I just completed reading your book, Dream Big, I Dare You, and found it not only inspirational, but also provided the reader action exercises to ensure they have a plan to achieve their big dream. The Dare Challenge. What I liked best was the passion you could feel from what you had written. Your book is packed with solid information, great tips. I especially enjoyed the chapters on the butterfly effect and the elephant story. Please share my comments with others, for I believe your book would be a helpful tool for them. How old do you think Carol is? Got an idea? 93. And she's looking to keep going. Amazing.
I have to continue.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Now, I don't know if you know Lupe Silva. Anybody ever heard of Lupe? Okay. Lupe's been training with me for a year and a half now. And kind of an interesting thing there. You know, she does 4 deals. She gets into me and she ends up doing 54 in 9 months. Right? And now I've got her on track to do over 100 this year. Okay? And do you think she's a big raving fan? Yeah. You know, she tells everybody, and if you're serious about your success, like Pat says, you need to train harder to kind of make it happen. So I would love you if you'd like to come down and hear the full-blown presentation of everything that I do. There's a date. You need to RSVP because the seating is only limited to 75 people. I told you I'm in the cattle. I only want the best and the brightest and the people that are committed. So if you want to do that, you can just email me, ask me to reserve a seat for you. I've got a couple of more here, so if you want to pass them out to your friends or anything of that nature, you can do that as well. Make copies, whatever you'd like to do. Also, I did bring along my books here.
Oh.
Okay. In the event you would like to make a minor investment in yourself, so you can do it this way. They're $20 a piece. And the money goes, this is going to amaze you because you'll read it in the book, and the money goes to the training of service dog for veterans. Because all these guys and gals need help desperately. And this is a humanitarian project that I started and is getting enormous coverage now. You can get them for $20 a piece, or if you don't feel something, $35.
Will you have them here?
Yeah, I got them right here.
I mean, will you have them at this? Because I don't have them right here.
Okay.
Will you have them if you
Yes.
at this? Okay.
Yes.
Check with them.
Pardon me?
check or something.
Yeah, check's fine, credit card's fine, that's cool too. Okay, so take a couple of quick minutes. Any questions?
I just want to thank you. It was a
Oh, yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Very good.
So you do coaching, you coach, you do individual coaching, what is it?
What everybody does, the way we start it all off, so everybody knows, is everybody starts in a group with me. Okay, we got to get the foundation down, and then people move forward into my level 2 training, and that involves personal coaching.
So is it over the phone or for people who live here?
Oh, for the people who live here, well, I'm going to be doing the program down in San Jose, which is only 20 minutes away. When I do this presentation here, we're going to start 2 weeks later on the group coaching. Okay. And I only take like 25 or 30 people at a time, because there's a lot of interaction and feedback that we do, and then most people want to move on to the level 2 training, and then that's when we meet personally. As well.
That level 2 is
Yeah.
So,
If you're going to ask how much it costs, you should not come to this.
Oh.
No, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't do that with people, because that's the very first thing you're going to come up with. How much it's going to cost. The biggest thing I'm going to say is, how much are you willing to invest in yourself?
Yeah, don't turn right from the airline.
Yeah. And I will guarantee you this. You know Carol and you know Lupe, right? No, Seth.
okay, so you have sandwiches and one-page plan. And I do want to let you know that, you just don't realize what he has taught until you just get blown away. And like every day, I probably get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Nobody needs to tell me what to do. It's a treasure map right there, and I just keep on doing it.
How would you like a personal strategy for you? For you. What you heard Pat say is that I take you through an assessment that determines what your strengths are, and we start putting the energy into that. Because right now, you're putting your energy into what you don't want to do. Straight into the center.
So,
Thank you, everybody. Give yourself a big hand. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
as far as my stuff is concerned, we don't compete with you, even though I'm a realtor. We have documents to do that. But we are here for free consultations for your clients, for you, and then streamline it into success and building on building success. And this book that is talked about is better than a 1-minute manager, because it has all exercise. And once you finish that, you will realize what your dream is. A lot of senior people have just taken the book and not left it until they finish it.
Paneer.
That's useful.
Paneer is like a
Okay.